Hey, this is Bruce Boudreau, and you're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 187 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. How we doing, my friend?
What's going on, dude? Yeah, we're in that lovely point in Maryland. Like we always do, we have to start off talking about the weather, right? Because, we're old as fuck, so that's what we do. We're at that lovely point in Maryland when you wake up, it's winter, but by like 3 p.m., it's summer again. So, like, you're constantly, I feel like I'm going through like 4 outfits a day now. Like, I wake up and I got to put like the hoodie and sweatpants on, and then like by midday, I'm like peeling that off and going for like the gym shorts and a tank top. It's absolutely absurd right now.
Worst time of year, in my opinion. People wonder why I'm a warm weather guy. You don't have to think about the layers and shit, and that just makes life a little bit easier.
I will say though, like fall outfits, winter outfits, they kick so much harder than the summer and spring stuff does, though.
I'll agree with that, but I think our good friend over in Milwaukee is going to have a thing or two to say about cold weather. Mac Vogel, my other co-host, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining us for another rousing rendition of Empty Betters. Yeah, it's been kind of the opposite here. At least today it was. It was like kind of hot, and I was like, yo, it's kind of nice out. And then I like left my jacket in the car when I got back from my lunch break. And then I'm walking out of the office at like 4:30, and I was like, holy shit, it's fucking freezing. Because
it's pitch black at 4:30.
And it's literally fucking dark out. And I was like, fuck this. All right, well. But yeah, that's the weather report with Empty Betters. So hope you enjoyed that.
And as if I couldn't stay up for 10 p.m. West Coast hockey games already, they implement the always wonderful time change, and I am in bed by like 10 because I'm a
By the way, quick note on that. I thought like, am I fucking crazy? Or last year I thought we decided as a country
we were done.
Like done doing that. No,
yeah,
I was pumped. I was like, oh, word, that's dope. But then I
guess
might
be next year.
The government was like, actually, we need everybody to be depressed so that like alcohol sales will still go up.
Right.
And,
essential business. Yes.
And like, we can't be having that. Everybody needs to be depressed as fuck.
So like, question for you guys, because I got into this argument with some friends the other day. Which one do you like better, spring forward or fall back?
I will say going out when it goes back is fucking hilarious. This past weekend when like, we just get another, I'm like at the bar. I remember looking at my phone and being like, damn, it's like almost 1:30. I should probably like go home. I'm tired. And like, then like an unclear amount of time passes because, booze. And I look at my phone again and it's like 1:02. And I was like, the fuck's going on here?
You're like, all right, we finally figured it out. Time travel.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, we hacked it.
The best way, I mean, like, and Harry knows this, like when we would be at like the Green Turtle in Towson, like when we were in college, like they would literally yell like, okay, last call. And we're back. Who wants a beer? Like, it was so funny.
That's funny.
Little tradition there, yeah. But enough about the weather report and our lovely daylight savings time. We've got a banger of an episode on tap. We just wrapped up an electric interview with the man himself, Heatdaddy, Heater. It was pretty funny. He was a great interview guest. We appreciate him coming on. We're going to do that first, and then we'll get into all the news and discussions afterwards. So before we toss it off to Heater, this is a reminder that this interview with Heatdaddy is brought to you by Brackish Life. I know we just talked about it being a little colder this time of year, especially in Maryland. You're going through a bunch of different layers and stuff. Well, you don't have to worry about that with Brackish Life's beautiful UV protected long sleeve. Great for the warmer temperatures because it's light enough, and great for the colder temperatures because you still got the long sleeve going on. Great underlayer for hoodies. If you're into, fishing this time of year, duck hunting, whatever, also a great base layer. We just want to thank Brackish Life once again for sponsoring this interview. And another reminder that they have teamed up with Rink to Reef which will help preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. They repurpose broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of their proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Go to www.brackish.life to start shopping for some great layers for this season. Without further ado, we're going to toss it off to Heater.
All right, and it's now my pleasure to welcome the Empty Betters podcast, Mr. Heatdaddy. Heater, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. You guys have a hell of a setup, all of you. This is sweet.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we've toyed around with some different setups over the years, but we've kind of mastered it at this point, I think. And I'm excited for this because you're kind of coming on at like the best possible time for like hockey drama. There's so much bullshit going on right now that I'm pumped to talk about, and we'll get there. But I'm going to start off asking you the same question we always start our interviews with, which is basically kind of what's your hockey origin story? What's like, how did you first get into the game when you were younger, and like what's some of your first hockey memories?
Yeah, I just remember watching ESPN when hockey was on ESPN, and a lot of it was Colorado. A lot of it was Detroit. Guys are just taking each other's heads off. The physicality, just like that raw physicality. I remember my first jersey was actually an Adam Foote jersey on Colorado, which is insane because I'm from New York. But that's what really got me into it, just like how fast it was, how crazy it was. And I don't know if you just heard that. Somebody with a huge engine just rolled by. I appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, that was pretty much it, man. I just loved how crazy it was. So yeah. And I started playing roller hockey when I was little, eventually kind of transitioned to ice around high school, and the rest is history. The rest of my garbage career is history. Yeah.
That was such a good time to get into the game too. Like the early 2000s was so much fun. Like all those cup finals with like the Avs and the Devils and the Ducks. Like it was just insane. The physicality was on a different planet back then.
Yeah, I can't believe I left out the Devils. That's another good one. Yeah. I met Kenny Danico actually when I was a kid, so I followed him on the Devils growing up. So, but yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love one of my favorite like bits you have on Twitter is talking about the big fuck you Western Conference hockey. We got a little bit of that going last night with the Oilers.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's crazy to me because the East Coast misses out on so much. I mean, unless you're an absolute savage and you're staying up till 1, 2 in the morning, you miss a lot of what goes on out there. And I know back in the day, I think the Western Conference dude, somebody keeps rolling by with a huge engine. Do you guys hear that?
I didn't hear it.
No,
I kind of wish I did.
Insane, bro. This guy, I don't know if he's just going up and down. So where I'm at is like right in the middle of like the bar area. So I guess these guys, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's Tuesday afternoon, but anyway, yeah, I think more back in the day, like the Western Conference was known to be kind of physical and all that. But now, there's physicality around the league. But recently, just these West Coast games, man, like guys are just really getting into it. A lot of passionate hockey. But yeah, it's been crazy. Like last night, the Oilers just in a crazy spot. People just have, oh, McDavid, he's a crybaby, this and that. I get it. But at the end of the day, if I'm him, I'm probably doing the same thing, if not worse. I'm probably like, probably trying to shank somebody out there. Just get the boys going somehow. But yeah,
I'd be ready to take somebody's head off too. I mean, can't blame him.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy what's going on with that whole team.
Yeah, so like on that note, like what do you think they need to do? Is this a situation where you just ditch the coach as like anything's got to change kind of move, or do you think they got to do like a personnel change with the players they have?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to say because I'm just on the couch barking and what you can and what you can't do, but the depth isn't there. I mean, I think the top 6, they're there. I think obviously the whole goalie thing, but to me, it's like, yeah, the goalies haven't shown up, but it's always, there's more to it. Like who's not breaking out the puck, right? Who's rimming it up the wall and giving it away instead of making the easy, breakout pass to the middle, the center's flying through, like just shit like that. I mean, you got to address those issues first. So to answer your question, like, I'm not going to just say, oh, you need a new goalie. I mean, like you need Darnell Nurse to play like a $9 million player. I mean, what the fuck? I think like if I'm the GM, I'm just going in. I'm just being like, guys, what the actual fuck is going on? And I don't know if it's a situation where you tell the team to like go party and figure this one out, or I don't know, man. I think it's too early to make moves, I guess, but I think there needs to be a very, very short leash over the next like 2 to 3 weeks. And if whatever change because obviously, you know, they're having meetings behind closed doors at this point. If that doesn't work, then honestly, trade McDavid and trade Draisaitl. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, I don't know. I guess I think yeah, they got to figure out the goalie, I guess, with Campbell going on waivers, which is crazy.
That's so weird too.
Like just signed a huge ticket. Yeah, I don't know.
We've got the Super Bowl of hockey games on Thursday night. I think I've already seen this on Twitter.
Yep.
You might have even posted it. The Sharks and the Oilers on Thursday night. I'm kind of rooting for mayhem here, if I'm being honest.
Oh, me too. As like an innocent, like as somebody with no dog in the fight, like Heater, me and Nick are Caps fans and Harry's a Penguins fan. So like, it doesn't fucking matter to me if the Oilers are any good. I'm just rooting for chaos.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree. I hope the Sharks win that game. Like I'm to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna bet the Sharks money line. I might even get crazy and like,
why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? I mean, they got to win at some point, dude. This is the NHL, right? Like they got to win. I know they're historically terrible, but like, why not Thursday? You know, I was like considering, I was like, shit, I might go to the fucking game just to see.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, now you're going to go to the Yotes game with Biz, right?
I think what we're going to try to do, and I don't know, he wanted to stream it because we're both in Scottsdale.
Okay.
But I guess, I don't know, man. Like when you get Barstool and all those companies, they have all these like weird non-compete things. I don't know if he's even allowed to stream with me, even though like I'm not a corporation or anything, but he wants to stream the game. So I think I'm going to not do the San Jose thing because it's ridiculous anyway. Like I was just going to throw it on my credit card, like sick trip to San Jose for the night, pay it back in 3 months. But probably not worth it, but yeah, we'll see. But I'll tell you this, I'm going to be so dialed in for that game. Like I'm really excited, which is crazy to say.
Game of the century.
About a Sharks Oilers game in November. I know. I'm pumped too. Yo, speaking of the Sharks though, let's talk about this for a second. So you mentioned, you know, maybe the Oilers need to just send the GM in there for a quick little chat. That's exactly what the Sharks just did. They had Greer go in there and, you know, obviously we usually don't get a lot of info about what was said behind closed doors, but I think the one thing I saw was that he said something along the lines of like, there are certain things that I just won't tolerate. And I had to make that clear to the players or something. And I saw that. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if these guys are, you know, ripping Percocets in the back of the bus every night, or I don't know what's going on. But like, to me, I saw that too. I was like, dude, well, like you guys are 0-11. Like you didn't have this talk at 0-5 or 0-6. Like what the fuck's going on, dude? The game's
it's a little too fucking late, right?
Right. It's like the game's, you know, the season's 82 games. We're not talking about an MLB season here. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but if I find out, I'll let you guys know. I'll tweet it. But yeah,
so we're getting close to like Barry Melrose, Tampa Bay Lightning 0-16 start here. So they definitely don't want to do that. They got to figure something out soon.
Yeah, it's just you knew San Jose was going to be bad, right? But I mean, going wait, are they at 11 now or 10? Is it?
They have 10 regulation losses, I think, and then an OT loss.
10-1. I think it's 10-1.
Yeah, it's just
also like didn't you want to be this bad last year? And like not this year?
Yeah, exactly. Like even I'm surprised they even still have Hurdle. Like I don't know, I forget his contract right now, but like if you're gonna, you know, have a full rebuild, I might as well get rid of them all. But yeah, man, wild situation for them. But let's go Sharks on Thursday. Fuck it.
Definitely.
Yo, so how I gotta ask while you're here, how is the Yotes like game experience there? Like you've been to a couple games, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to watch hockey up and close. NHL hockey that close is pretty sick because it is very close. Even if you're in the lower bowl of another arena, you're not breathing on top of the rink like you are at Mullet. I mean, it's really tight in there. So I'd give the viewing experience good. Besides, like the seats are very small, it's very compact, so it's like kind of annoying. But as far as watching hockey goes, it's good. as far as like the concourse being like kind of small and the bathroom lines are out of control and like there's not, stands for booze every 5 feet. There's kind of just one on each side of the rink. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but as far as watching hockey goes, it's actually pretty cool to see it, like that. Yeah.
So with you being in Scottsdale, obviously, like, what do you think the Yotes need to do? Are you happy with their current new arena plans, or do you think it needs to come to Scottsdale or somewhere else?
I think they need to give the team to me, honestly. I think, I don't know, man. I think I kind of have to tiptoe around this because I've been caught like trashing ownership before.
Sure.
But I'll say this. I think ownership needs to give a shit about the team winning. I think winning doesn't solve anything, but it'll solve a lot of problems. I think like a couple years ago when they're shipping core guys out, I mean, they're shipping Christian Dvorak out, they're shipping Aiden Hill, who they developed for 5+ years out. And it's just like, God, like, dude, at some point, this never-ending rebuild has to stop. Like, you can't just keep tweeting, the future's bright, the future's bright. Like I went back and I Twitter searched Coyotes, the future's bright. And it goes back like 7 years. And the admin just keeps tweeting, the future's bright. And I'm just like, dude, you have to stop. Like, this is insane. Like, I feel like I'm on acid. Like, when's the future? So I feel like they got to get a site, which they don't have. I think they're speculating on a site plan. But like, let's say they start digging on the lot now. It's like, okay, that's 4 years, like 3 years of construction. So you got to get the arena situation handled immediately so they can start, shoveling over there. You got to win on the ice. And go from there and stop the never ending rebuild. That's really like the only way I could say it without going on a 3-hour tangent about it.
They've got some really solid pieces too now. I mean, like Cooley, obviously everybody's been talking about him. He's unreal. And then Keller, probably one of the most, used to be one of the most underrated guys in the league, in my opinion. Now he's got some attention. I mean, the future, I hate to say what the admin would say, but the future does look bright if they sign him.
Yeah, I agree. Like they're a hard team to play against. They really are. Especially when they have those nights where they're firing like on all cylinders, like they're a pesky team. Keller, one of the best players in the league, hands down. Like the guy had 86 points last year with his line mate Schmaltz being hurt a lot of the year. Schmaltz, he's another one. I mean, those two guys alone, Schmaltz and Keller, can play with any top. I believe this, play with any top line in the league. But yeah, I think Vejmelka's a good goalie too. I really think he is. I think he needs more support. Of him. I think he's a great goalie. But yeah, man, like Cooley's so good, dude. Like when you watch him skate, like I don't know, like if it's just in person or you could tell on TV, but all these young guys coming up can skate like crazy. Like he's really good, man. He's gonna be a star. Like he's a stud.
I think another guy on that team.
Moser. I got to shout out JJ Moser. Sorry about that. He's another guy people need to keep an eye on. I think he's one of those guys that like he's going to get better every year. He's going to get better. Like I think he has such a high ceiling, but yeah.
I think another guy like that is Lawson Krause. I've had him on my fantasy team for, I think, the 2 previous seasons. I think he's got great size. He's got the hands. He's got the shot. I think he would be just a weapon on any team in the NHL.
Totally agree. He's a house, that kid. Like on the ice, like that's actually a guy you realize when you go to Mullet in person, you realize like, holy shit, this kid is huge. But yeah, I agree.
I definitely had this at the top of my list of questions when we found out that you were coming on. So my favorite, I guess you could say, joke of yours is rock star shit. It's by far the funniest thing that I see, with winding up for clappers in the corner. Gets me every time. Over the years, who do you think has been the biggest culprit of you tweeting rock star shit? Is there any player that stands out?
First of all, I appreciate that. I love calling out guys for that. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go with probably Draisaitl. Maybe
he doesn't give a fuck. He does not give a single fuck.
Yeah, he just lets it rip. Draisaitl, kind of Pasternak too. Like those two guys will wind up from anywhere and just let it rip. So I think, as they should. I mean, they have absolute cannon. So I'd say those two. I know I'm missing one.
Young Ovi, maybe.
Yeah, definitely Ovechkin. Yeah, that's a given. Who
I feel like
else?
Kovalchuk maybe
Oh
back in the
yeah.
day could have fit that.
Oh yeah, definitely, probably, yeah. Russian guys like almost automatic. For those guys, like those guys don't give a shit. Yeah, for sure. I think Kovalchuk's definitely in that category.
Who's he in the shootout?
Yeah, he's another one. Like those guys. I love when guys try new stuff and slash don't give a shit. Like I kind of want to put in that category. This isn't really the rock star shit like tidal wave wind up, but Sonny Milano is really fun to watch when it comes to like creativity. Like he does shit where it's like, he has to like be laughing in between periods and like, yo, did you see that? Like he has to be doing that shit.
Who are some of the players in the league that you like to, keep an eye on the most? I mean, I know you mentioned you have some buddies before the show, but like, who are some guys that you root hard for?
First one that comes to mind is probably, I'd probably have to say, it's hard to pick one. Probably have to go with the guys in Arizona to start. Keller, Schmaltz. I love watching those guys. I think they're so fun to watch. They're in a situation, those guys just, I'll keep it to a minimum because I could talk about this for hours, but there are so many guys in the league that would have seen the situation in Arizona and been like, fuck this, I'm out. And their attitude is, and I don't know how many people even know this, but their attitude is, hey, grass isn't always greener. We're just going to make the best of it, play as hard as we can for the fans and try to win hockey games. So I'm rooting real hard for those guys. McAvoy over in Boston. I think he's a hell of a player. He's such a competitor. Like you see him off the ice and he's always, he's just like a really nice guy, always has a smile on his face. On the ice, he's got that fuck you hockey to him. Like he's a dog. Who else? I wanted to say he's not in the league anymore, but Tyler Ennis is an absolute legend. Like such a good guy. Like such a good locker room guy. I was always rooting for him. Yeah, I think those guys are, and again, whenever I get asked stuff like this, like a couple minutes later, I'm always like, fuck, I should have said this guy or that guy. But yeah, to start those guys, for sure.
I think it's, especially like you talk about like Schmaltz and Keller, they stick it out in Arizona. And I think that says a lot, especially because those guys came from BU in North Dakota, where, they probably were on elite programs. I remember watching both of them in college. I mean, Schmaltz was unreal for Nodak. That was some of the sickest college hockey I think we've ever seen. But it's great to see that they're just buying into that system and willing to make that their home and sticking it out.
Yeah, I mean, people could say like, oh, well, they're getting paid or they have a no move, no trade clause, yada, yada, yada. But my point is that just from a confirmed, like per Darren Dreger, per Elliot Friedman source, like these guys have really good attitudes. And I bet you most people wouldn't think that's the case, but they do. Another one I want to say that I just remembered, I don't know Jack Eichel personally, but I know he kind of like around the league, people might think, he's this or he's that, but I really, I like his game a lot. I like that with the situation in Buffalo, dealing with a crazy neck injury and dealing with like people basically trying to control. I don't know too much about the situation, but from what I took away from it is that like when you have such a medical situation like that and you have like organizations trying to dictate what you should do, it's like that's fucking insane. So just for him to like get out of Buffalo and go win, I know that's probably not one that people are gonna like, but I like what he does. And obviously like they have a great team to begin with, but yeah, I like watching him too and hope he does well.
He's got a little fuck you hockey in him too, kind of like McAvoy. I see the little parallel there. Obviously defenseman forward, but I like Jack's game too.
Yeah, classic Massachusetts guy, like those guys are they're not gonna roll over and die, that's for sure.
Totally. Yo, so let's talk some gambling before we let you go. Do you have like are you like an over guy or like a player prop guy, or you switch it up every night? Do you have something that's kind of your go-to or not really?
I'd say overs. You're never gonna catch me taking an under. Like if I'm in the same room as somebody and they're taking an under, I'm just like, either I'm gonna leave or you have to leave. Like that's insane. Like what do you? I want to get up and cheer, dude. I don't want to like, see a puck hit the crossbar and just be like, yes, like fuck you. But yeah, probably overs. I really like the goal scorer prop. I just think it's fun when like for an over, if you don't have a goal halfway through the game or it's like 1-0, you're kind of like, shit, like this is gonna be tough. But goal scorer, it can happen at any time. It could be the empty netter. Like I hit a empty netter the other night with Kuznetsov, empty net goal, and I had him I think there's a week or two ago, and I had him anytime, and I was like, fuck yeah. So that I really love the goal scorer ones and shot props. Yeah, I do it all, yeah. Especially when the liquor's flowing.
You tweet your picks? I can't remember, or not really. You're not into that?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's just like sometimes I don't feel like reading people be like, oh, fuck you, man. Your picks are garbage. So it's like it just depends. Like it really depends. Yeah.
I'm very deep into the NHL gambling scene. I got a couple weird stats for you. I believe this is true. I haven't fact checked it, but I saw it yesterday on the internet, so it must be true. I'm pretty sure Bedard has scored a goal in every game that he's worn the red Blackhawks jersey.
That's insane.
Weird stat. Really weird stat.
I think you're right.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they play today?
There's a big slate tonight. I can't remember.
Yeah. There's a huge
Another one. I don't know if the game hasn't started yet. You might be able to get it in. I'm pretty sure I read that Cole Caulfield has scored like a goal in every home game besides like one. I'm on that tonight. He's like a different player at home versus on the road. It's really weird.
He's so due too. He is due for a goal. That's actually another one that I want to say, like, such a great kid. Love that kid. I hope he gets 50. Like, I hope he gets 50 before the All-Star break somehow. I don't know. But no, I'm actually gonna ride that with you. That starts in 30 minutes or so.
Oh, let's fucking go.
That's a good one. That one's gonna hit.
They're playing great too right now. I mean, no one's talking about it, but I mean when they're firing, when him and Suzuki are going, that is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys this. They have a really, really good locker room. They have a great group of guys. And I consider myself a Montreal hater because I went there 1 year for a bachelor party and just French people were just like, I don't know. I'm not confrontational in person, but somehow I got into like 17 different arguments in one night. And this was like so long ago, and I've held a grudge against that city. So I'm always like, even I was biased on Twitter. I was like, fuck the Canadians, but not anymore. Like they have a really good group of the guys. So yeah, you're right. They are playing well. I mean, everyone, is writing them off from the start. Like they're not going to be good, but let's get, I might take Caulfield to get 2. Fuck it.
Ooh.
I'm sensing a trend of you having wedding related events and shit going wrong. I was listening to the Hartnell episode. You were talking about your grudge against the city of Philadelphia. That was cracking me up.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that was just insane. Like I got disinvited to a wedding the same day of for breaking up. Yeah, like if you listen to it, a flower pot, and then I paid for the flower pot, and dude, it was wild. Like I got fucking threatened in the lobby the next day. I don't even think I said that part. Yeah, an employee he saw me walking through the lobby, and he grabbed me and he's like, he knew my name somehow. He's like, Robbie, if I was working when you did that, he goes, his exact words were, I would have thrown you on your head. And I go, what? I go, you would throw me on my head? He goes, yeah, you wouldn't have gotten away with that. I'm like, dude, I broke a plant and I paid for it too. The flower pot, they charged me $580, dude.
Are you kidding me? That's
swear to God.
What kind of flower pot did you break, dude?
It was, dude, I don't have any plants in here, but it was like your run of the mill flower pot, probably
like a brown,
big.
like Home Depot in the outdoor section, like that kind of flower pot.
Yeah, I apologize to them. So what this place was, it's a country club that has like a hotel connected to it. And I apologize to the manager. I'm like, hey, like sorry, it was me and my uncle who's just a diabolical. He's a fun guy. Let's put it that way. And like, yeah, I apologize. And the guy was like, oh, we'll charge you for it. I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't think they'd hose me. But then even the guy was like, yeah, enjoy the wedding, whatever shit happens. But then I guess the people in charge of the wedding were like, you're not allowed to come. So I just flew to Philadelphia for nothing. So now I'm taking it out on the Flyers.
That's only right. That's only right.
It's one of the few things that we can agree on this podcast is we don't like the Flyers.
That's true.
Yeah, I can give a damn about the goddamn Flyers. I hope they lose to the Sharks, and I hope they don't. I hope they don't, and I hope they do.
I was saying this earlier. I kind of hope that they don't. I hope they beat the Sharks because I need the Sharks to be winless against the Oilers. That's just that's too good. That's too good. We need that.
So funny that it's like such a highly touted game, like you guys said in November. Sharks in Man Jose. They call it Man Jose because there's a lot of dudes there. I don't know if you guys have been there, but people are like, "Why do you call it Man Jose?" I'm like, a lot of dudes. Like if you go, but yeah, pretty insane. I think, you know what? Speaking of betting, obviously, I think I gotta take like McDavid and Draisaitl to score in that game. I mean, something's got.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah,
I feel like it's due. Definitely have to ask you this question. We ask it to every guest before they go. Stanley Cup final prediction.
All right, you guys are probably not going to like this, but I got Vegas coming out of the West again. I think just a little breakdown. I think they're the same team. They lost Riley Smith. It's not, no disrespect to Riley Smith, but that's not a groundbreaking loss for them. They had to sign, what's his name? The Russian kid.
Barbashev.
Yes, Barbashev. I think they're still a great team, top to bottom. Their system is insane. I don't know what Bruce Cassidy is saying in these locker rooms that he goes into, but I think they got a good thing going. So I think Vegas comes out of the West again. And the East, dude, I really don't want to say Toronto, but I feel like something's gonna happen where Toronto comes out of the East, and then I'm gonna say Toronto loses to Vegas and Vegas repeats.
we're gonna need Justin Wall to stand on his head because it's not gonna be Sam Stonov. I can tell you that.
Yeah, man. I know that's a big question mark for them, but like, I'm so tired of Tampa. I'm trying to think. I'm so tired of Tampa. I think the Devils need another year. That's just me. I think they're a great team. I'm trying to think the other contenders.
Rangers.
A lot of people have told us Rangers or Carolina or Boston. We get that a lot when we ask this question.
Something about the Rangers, and like this is me coming from New York as like a Ranger guy. Like, so my childhood friend was John Tortorella's nephew. So I was going to those games when he was coaching there, and I got into them. And yeah, the Rangers just don't get me out of bed, man. And I think they could prove me wrong, but there's just something about that team that, like, I don't know if it's because they have a first overall pick and a second overall pick that are like not putting up the points they should. Yeah. I don't know what it is about the Rangers, but I can't say the Rangers right now.
Well, even like the offseason move, like I was like, oh, Blake Wheeler to the Rangers, that's going to be a problem. And it's been a problem for the Rangers ever since he's gotten there. So you just don't know like what that team is going to do. It's just like the thing that always scares me about them is Igor.
Yeah. And then also like Panarin, okay, put up 100 points regular season, sweet. Kreider somehow like mucking in front of the net and getting 50 goals. Like, but for me, it's like, show me something in the playoffs that like, I'm like, wow, okay. Like these guys, you know, they have it. Like the way Florida played, like the way the Panthers, they were possessed. Like, who's their defenseman? He's hurt right now still.
Montour,
like what the fuck? This guy was like, he was like on
cracked out.
Yeah, dude, he was on Adderall and Vyvanse and blow at the same time. Like, just show me. I want to see the Rangers in the playoffs. Like, okay, do you guys remember? I know not to take up all your guys' time either, but you guys remember like the first two games when they played the Devils of last year?
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, like they're going to sweep the Devils. And then shit hit the fan. I want to see them play a whole round like that. And then I'll be convinced. So, yeah. But I gotta be cliche and say the Vegas Knights. And I will say, like, I do have buddies on the Knights and I want them to do well in the organization too. So I'm kind of being biased, but I think they're a great team. Yeah.
I mean, they look fucking amazing already this year. How could you not pick them? I think that's a fair pick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, boys, anything else before we go?
I got a yes or no question. Are the Canucks for real?
Yeah, I think Canucks are for real, dude. I think
they
they
looked
are
fucking good last night. I watched that entire game, and they look like a good hockey team. I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah, I know. It's like
Quinn Hughes is cracked out of his mind.
He's so good.
And like they have like just those core guys that are just like, Besser and JT Miller, and these guys aren't 25 or anymore. They've been around the league. They know, and they know how to handle themselves. But when I say for real, I'll say like, I don't think that they're a fluke, that they're doing well. I think they actually might have a good team. Yeah, man. I think I enjoy watching them play, but yeah.
So playoffs?
Yeah,
or close to. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think they're gonna be around there. Yeah, I'm gonna say fuck it.
Cool.
Well, dope. This has been super fun. We should definitely do it again soon. I'm sure there'll be plenty more shit to talk about in a couple of weeks or a month or however long. But I just want to thank you for coming on, dude.
Yeah, 100%, boys. I appreciate being on. This is fun. Just hit me up and let's get that goddamn Caulfield goal tonight.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll tweet that at you if it hits.
All right, it's gonna hit. Good positive energy, which means nothing, but when it comes to gambling, at least. But all right, boys. Yeah, this is great. Thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Appreciate you. As always, a huge thanks to Heatdaddy. That was a very fun interview, one of the more fun ones that we've had in recent memory. So just want to thank him again for coming on.
Absolutely electric. I mean, that was awesome. From the race cars going by him on the strip to talking about the Yotes. I mean, that was top drawer, boys.
Good stuff.
It's rock star shit.
Exactly.
It was.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself.
That was truly rock star shit. So
well, it's time to get into some news. But before we do, just a quick reminder to support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. This 70s inspired bar has a little something for everybody. From a daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a 4-season patio, good time is always around the corner. With the full NHL package plus TV screens indoors and out, hockey fans can watch any game, anytime. And don't leave your dogs at home. This is a dog-friendly bar. We will see you down at Elwood's Liquor and Tap. And with that, Harry, I will toss it back to you.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to hop into the news here. We've got a decent amount of new listeners that have come on board in the past couple of weeks since the season started. This is just a reminder to any of you who are new here. Nick and Mac are diehard Caps fans. I myself am a diehard Pens fan. So if you ever wonder...
The life is good for all three of us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever wonder why we rant about arguably the two worst teams in the East, now you know
why so much alcohol is consumed on this podcast.
So this first topic, Mr. Nicklas Backstrom taking a leave of absence from the team to focus on his health. Nick, Mac, I'll let you guys touch on this one.
This sucks. I mean, there's no other way to put it other than this sucks. I feel so bad for the guy, and a guy that like is just so important to Caps fans. I mean, it's hard to say like even 1 and 2 with him and Ovi. I really think of it as a 1A, 1B. I don't think either of them would be where they are without the other person. I think you can make the same analogy with McDavid and Draisaitl, or Sid and Gino, or any, Bergeron, Pasternak, whatever you want to do, any other dynamic duo in the NHL. But it's just so heartbreaking to me because this guy worked so hard last year to come back from this injury. He went through this massive procedure and was at a point in the offseason when people kept asking, reporters and like guys in the media scrum were like, where are you at? What's going on? And he literally had to tell them, I'm 100%, stop asking me about it. And here we are. And my heart just breaks for the guy. And, a heavy Caps bias involved here, but it just absolutely sucks.
I thought of that exact thing too. I was going to say that if you didn't, but like I thought of that as soon as I saw it. I was not ready for this information to just be dropped. I had no idea. And I thought of that as soon as I saw it. I thought of that exact moment where he said, I'm done talking about it. I feel good. I'm ready to go out there and like prove it. And it sucks thinking about that. And, I fully believe he felt that way like preseason, but it just, I can't even imagine, but I would think that playing an NHL game, it just never, it's always the fastest paced shit imaginable. And you get out there and you realize like, holy shit, I can't fucking keep up the way that I want to. I will say there's a little bit of like a hats off aspect here. if I'm being honest, because it takes a fucking lot to swallow your pride and be like, I am not comfortable playing at the level that I'm playing at right now because I know I should be way fucking better. Which is like, I mean, to me as a fan watching the game, yeah, he had, an assist or two or whatever his low point production was through the first 10 games. But the small sample size, I personally wasn't watching the games being like, holy shit, he's not okay. Like, get him out of there. I mean, yeah, I was like, he definitely doesn't look like 2014 Backstrom or whatever.
Right.
Like, but I wasn't expecting that either. I was like, okay, he looks decent. Like, he'll figure it out. Like, but yeah, it takes a lot to kind of own up to that and be like, nah, this isn't good enough. I got to step away. So as sad as it is, I respect it.
I think it's one of the harshest realities of pro sports. Very few pro athletes get to go out on their own terms.
That's true.
Usually you're told like, all right, one way or another, whether it's by a coach or just by your own play, like, all right, it's time. And, it just sucks that it comes down to an injury for the guy, because the guy has been the one of the two most important players in this franchise of all time. If it was up to me, he would get a statue right next to Ovi outside the rink. I know that's probably not going to happen, but
the numbers are going up for sure.
Yeah.
In my opinion, going up there.
This is like first ballot Hall of Famer, not even a question for me. This guy is an absolute stud. All the media stuff we've seen has just seemed very definite. It seemed very final. A lot of people are doing sort of the remembering or paying tribute
to
posts.
Yeah, exactly.
So we know that GMBM has come out and said that he's likely not to play again this season, which leads me to believe that it probably won't happen going forward, but you never know. So, I wish him absolutely nothing but the best. And the guy basically helped make, my adolescent years coming up, getting to the mid-20s for when they won the Stanley Cup. So
he saved this franchise from being a full-on joke.
1,000%.
And instead
1,000%.
It's only kind of a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even as a Pens fan, dude, you tip your cap. I'll do one moment, because I think you guys were saying this. It was probably the most concerned and angry I've ever been as a fan. I believe it was 2009, round 2, Pens Caps. You guys were up 2-0. We ended up winning game 3 in overtime, but we were supposed to win that game in regulation, and I'm pretty sure Backy from behind the goal line scored on Fleury. And I legitimately was like, I'm going to get made fun of at middle school tomorrow for the rest of my life, because I was talking so much shit.
Oh my God, those moments. That takes me back. Holy shit.
Yeah, he ended up scoring that game-tying goal. Then Letang obviously won in overtime, but holy crap, that was a hell of a moment.
Mac, do you have a Backy moment that stands out to you as one that just is ingrained in your mind?
I mean, all the overtime playoff goals, he's had a handful of them. At least 3, maybe 4.
Big one against the Bees, big one against the Jackets, big one against the Islanders. No one talks about that.
That one is electric. Watching that clip is so fucking sick. I think
honestly,
that was game 2 or something like that. Yeah, so good.
For me, and I will die on this hill, that I think the most clutch pass in Stanley Cup final history is his saucer to Ovi against the Golden Knights, and
in game 5, in the one we won
game 5, and that camera angle where it's directly behind Ovi, and you just see this absolute UFO of a puck take off and land perfectly on his stick. It's just insane.
I agree. I'm 100% with you, and the bias is definitely in full effect. But I straight up think that's I tweeted it when Backy announced all this. I was like, this is seriously one of the best passes you'll see in this game. Period.
For sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
For all you non-Caps fans that are snoozing out there, we can move on, but we had to pay homage.
Get to the fucking Oilers already.
We're getting there. Don't worry. Jack Hughes, probably the front runner for early season MVP at the moment, is listed week to week. The suspicion is that he has either a collarbone or shoulder injury. This happened over the weekend. He left the game, was holding I think it was his left shoulder area.
People were saying
bad. Collarbone. Yeah. Typical collarbone into the boards kind of look. So we'll see what happens.
Just like the way he popped up after hitting the boards like that. I mean, I think Max said it in the group chat when we were texting about it. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, no question, that thing's broken. So glad it doesn't seem like it's broken, or else you would think he would be out a little bit longer, but hopefully he gets back soon.
If it's only week to week, I mean, you never know. Sometimes they're ominous about this shit because that's what everyone does. But yeah, I mean, the way he was playing, even as a Metro rival, I'm like, I don't want to see this guy out of the game for too long. He's just too damn fun to watch. So,
fellow friend and former guest of the podcast, Frank the Tank, he thinks he's done. So if you buy what Frank says in his sources, he's probably not coming back this season, and the Devils are dead. So
hopefully Jack's rehab process is better than Frank's internet connection. So we'll just go with that for now.
Oh man. A little bit of an update on the neck guard situation that we touched on a little bit last week. The WHL has mandated neck guards following the Adam Johnson incident. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins also mandated it for their team. I think the Wheeling Nailers might have done it too.
I think they did.
I know a lot of people have been talking about this online. Just a little update. The NHL, they cannot mandate this without getting approval through the Players Association. It was said that Bill Daly and Gary Bettman have been in contact about this. I think there's a GM's meeting in the next couple of weeks, so I'm sure that'll be a topic. A couple players have tried it out too. I think this is a great chance for a great brand, TJ Oshie's brand.
Yep.
What is it, War Road?
Yep.
They make some pretty spiffy stuff, some high tech stuff, anti-cut stuff.
I have a couple just of their athletic t-shirts and stuff that are really high quality. That's good stuff for sure.
So we'll see if there's anything that can come out of that, but just a little update on that. This next news topic is pretty funny, and Nick, honestly, you were the one who did most of the research on this, so I'll let you do this.
I'm pumped for this.
What the fuck is going on in Ottawa? Don't get me wrong. Hey, we all grew up 40 minutes from the capital of the United States, and that's got plenty of problems. The capital of Canada right now has a whole slew of fucking problems right now. So let's just start going back to October 26th. You've got the Sens announcing that forward Shane Pinto, who's not signed, if I'm correct, is suspended 41 games for gambling activity.
But he's an RFA, right?
Right.
Yeah, they own his rights.
And that matters.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's a big deal. So as much as I've looked into this, it seems like it's sort of one of those things where it's he wasn't in a state where gambling was legal, and then one of his buddies logged into his account and tried to place the bet. I don't think any of the bets were hockey related, but it just seems like the NHL is trying to make an example out of this. Let's scare everyone else. Let's just nip this in the bud. Obviously, we've seen it going on with the NFL. We had the whole Calvin Ridley thing where he had to miss essentially a year, right? I know, Premier League soccer, there was a guy that just got banned for essentially the whole season for the same sort of thing. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this. If he's not betting on hockey games, should this be a bannable offense?
Man, it's so fucking tough because we're in a fucking world, and I say this being the name of our podcast is Empty Betters, so it's I can only say so much, but we're in a world now where it's starting to consume everything. I mean, you watch any pro sport, they're reading a million ad reads about it, you're seeing a million ads about it. It's almost impossible. I mean, the joke that was going on is it's on their fucking helmets, it's on the Senator's helmet.
It's right on their helmet. Yeah, it says Bet 365 right there.
Yeah, so it's you can't escape this shit. So I get it to an extent where it's everyone's betting. How do you fucking regulate? How do you stop people from doing what literally everyone's doing? At the same time, there has to be something in place that's pretty strict, because we obviously can't get to a point where it's involved with betting on the league that you play in any way, shape, or form. So I kind of get nipping in the bud so it doesn't even get close to that. But God, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
This might come as a surprise to you two, because I feel like you probably both were expecting me to give a certain answer about this, and you probably would be right. But I do think that Mac has something in his second point where he was saying you got to nip it in the butt because you can start flirting with danger. A lot of weirdos out there with the NFL, just saying. A lot of you just don't want to get to that point. There's been so much controversy in that league. God knows what they do or don't know. McVay kicking the field goal at the end to cover the spread for no reason. It's like, why does that happen? I don't know, but we don't want that anywhere near the league, our league, NHL. So I get it. 41 might be a little hefty. I could understand like 10
Yeah.
or like 15, but.
And also to clarify, because I had this question, I think we all had this question, because, and I think I'm getting this right, because he's an RFA, he just starts serving those games like immediately, right?
Yeah,
I think you're right.
So the next 41 Ottawa Senators games are the games that he's sitting out.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that even the first games of the season before this happened already apply to this. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. That would make sense, I guess. I want to know what the fuck would have happened if he was a UFA, just nothing,
Right.
because he's not
Don't know.
affiliated.
Because he's not affiliated, so he's technically not involved in any games, right?
But when he was affiliated was when it happened, right?
I guess.
I think
so.
he's
Weren't they investigating something that happened like at the end of last season or something? So I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
So you're right.
I don't want to sit here for too long and play what if, because it doesn't fucking matter. But I am just curious, like, what the fuck?
I am glad
What do
you
you
sort
do
of
if-
dropped the hammer a little bit though, because and my first thought, like selfishly, was, am I going to have to deal with like a different fantasy hockey player getting suspended every 2 weeks for some gambling infringement? Like, let's just be done with this now. So, I think the reason why it took so long to get gambling legalized in the United States was obviously all the differences in state legislature and how you were going to tax it so the government can make money off of it. But the overall arching reason is everyone said it would infect like the integrity of the game. So I'm glad we're sort of like getting out in front of this now. I'm not saying that like this guy maliciously went out and been like, I'm going to have like 3 points tonight and bet on himself, because clearly he didn't. But yeah, it is what it is.
Also totally understand the wagon of fuck it, let him bet. I get that too.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. I see all sides of it.
That's why I said I don't have the answer. Like, it's just
like
weird,
it's so different, because it's like, and like in hockey or like football, it's like you're one of like at hockey, you're on the ice for 45 seconds at a time. It's so hard to affect the outcome of the game. But like if you're a starting player in the NBA and you only come off for 2 to 3 minutes throughout the entire game, completely different.
Kicker in the NFL or whatever the fuck
Exactly.
it is. Yeah. It gets hairy, but there definitely needs to just be a no nonsense, no tolerance rule. However, it's important to note this is definitely going to be used as like the precedent.
It's the
it.
benchmark. I think that's why they dropped the hammer so hard.
100%.
Speaking of no nonsense, let's talk about this trade fiasco.
Bro, oh my god.
So the Sens kind of really fucked this one up, huh? Yeah, so the long and short of it is that they tried to make a move with Heatdaddy, Evgeny Dadonov, who shockingly had a no trade clause, stating that he could not be moved without submitting a 10-team no trade list. So because of this infraction,
how does that happen, by the way?
Right?
You're Evgeny Dadonov and they let that shit. They're like, yeah, you can call the shots here. That's insane. Anyway, continue.
So Ottawa, as a result, will have to forfeit its first round draft pick in either the 2024, 2025, or 2026 NHL drafts. And they do have to make that determination within 24 hours of the conclusion of the draft lottery for that season. So that's a little bit interesting. It's sort of
that is interesting.
A little bit of a roulette wheel. I mean, not to harp on the Sens and gambling again, but here we go. I mean, do you want to like, it's like, hey, we ended up with like the 11th overall pick this year. Do we want to keep that and then like roll the dice for next year to see if we get a little worse?
I didn't know that part. That's actually really interesting.
I will literally
just to get it out of the way, because I know everyone's thinking it, everyone's already said it. This is fucking so stupid that this is the penalty they get, and the Blackhawks got a fucking like slap on the wrist. That is like the dumbest thing in the history of ever. But that's the fucking league that we cover, and that's fucking Gary Bettman. Everybody, yay, Gary Bettman, good fucking job, you fucking idiot. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, what else do we have to say about this?
There's a joke here that I can't believe nobody's making.
What?
Nick said roulette. Dadonov's Russian. We could have gone that way, but
nice.
Russian roulette,
Nice. Yeah, as a result, Pierre Dorian gone as GM.
That's hilarious to me too. Like that, that's such a weird reaction to me.
Yeah.
That they're just like, hey, this, and also we're not that good right now, so get the fuck out of here.
I get it if it's like, if you really fucked up the trade that bad, like, sure, I understand that. But like,
didn't he say something like he didn't even know about, like, I thought there was some, am I making shit up now?
He said that he didn't know.
Yeah.
That's literally what he said.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't know. They didn't tell me.
I feel like that's kind of your job, but
my reaction is that is absolutely your fucking job to know this shit. Like, or like
Definitely
one of your
is.
assistants or one of the like,
maybe
I don't
it's
know,
like
team lawyer on staff to sort through that like 80-page contract or whatever it was. Like, just.
But it begs the question again: why the fuck does Evgeny Dadonov have a no trade?
Right.
I mean, that's probably what the GM was thinking when he found out. He was like, he had a no trade clause. He's like, I didn't even look, because why would he?
Right.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I don't know the situation. I can't remember if the Senators gave him that or if it was his prior team. I think
or
it was
Vegas gave him that.
Am I
Vegas.
like crazy, or is it pretty common for only like elite players to get like a no trade clause? Like, no trade clause.
That,
like, I know,
or it's like a huge part of their deal and they take a pay cut to have the no trade clause.
Okay,
involved.
maybe that's what he did, because I know there's a lot of there's a lot of players that have like 1 or 2 or 5 teams that you can't send them to or whatever. But to have like a straight up no trade clause, and that if he's going anywhere, he's submitting a list of 10 teams like that. I don't know. That's crazy.
No, it seems like Ovi status right there, right?
Literally, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why would, anyway, not to beat it to death, but that's just crazy.
Well, from bad to worst, the Senators are dead last in the Atlantic Division. Their captain is doing interviews about all the drama in the organization and then telling fans to not literally, but basically fuck off with all the booing and harassment. And there's no end in sight.
I loved that, by the way.
Yeah.
I loved that so much. Brady Tkachuk, just to keep with the theme of the episode, rock star shit, by the way.
Yeah, so not looking good in Canada's capital at the moment. Speaking of not looking good, the San Jose Sharks, let's talk about them. They're the first team in 58 years since the 1965 Bruins to allow 10 goals in back-to-back games.
I got to give my sister a quick shout out. She texted me today and this is today. We're recording this Tuesday, November 7th. So this evening, the Sharks are playing the Philadelphia Flyers. And she texted me out of nowhere today and she goes, the Philadelphia Flyers have the opportunity to do the funniest thing in history, which is score 10 goals against the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah. Pretty wild stat. They also have tied the league record for longest losing streak to start in NHL history. I believe that's correct. I saw that off Big Head Hockey. Someone can fact check me on that.
Not good.
This one comes to us lastly. They have a minus 42 goal differential in their first 11 games. That is the worst goal differential through the first 11 games in league history.
Holy shit.
Austin Matthews has scored more goals than the San Jose Sharks have.
Oh my God.
That's basically them giving up like 4 goals a game if you do the math.
Do they need to be investigated? Like, is it like, I'm like, are they okay? If this was last season, I'd be like, you guys are doing this on purpose. You said it earlier in the fucking interview. But like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Like, how do you fuck that up that bad?
I don't know how
you
to
literally
be that
missed
bad
the
on
boat
purpose.
by a year.
Like, I don't know if you could be that bad on purpose.
I honestly, I agree with you. I don't know if you could. I mean, literally, and I know I mentioned this in the interview as well. The only thing that sticks out to me in my lifetime that was this bad is Barry Melrose coaching the Tampa Bay Lightning. And obviously best wishes to Barry Melrose and everything. Yeah. But when you start the season 0-16, I'm going to remember that.
Wait, so if that, so was
that's what my thought was. I need to look that up.
Okay, we might have fucked that up. But you know, you don't come here for the fucking facts. You come here for the vibe. So,
exactly.
While you're looking that up, let me just add that I was watching that Canucks game last night, and they put up a stat. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but the Canucks have like the second best goal differential in the league right now, or something like that. It was like plus like 30 or plus 28 or some shit like that.
And following that game to the Oilers, I heard one of the broadcasters mention that the Vancouver Canucks are 14 points ahead of the Edmonton Oilers in the standings right now.
That's I don't want to get ahead because we're about to talk about this, but that is the exact reason why the Oilers are so fucked.
Yep.
And I'll go further into that in a second. Harry, do you have the
Yeah, I do have the stat. I'm not sure, Nick, if the Melrose thing was to start a season, but the longest losing streak ever to start a season was the 1944 New York Rangers with 11. So yes, the Sharks have tied it.
I mean, if the Rangers have it, that's a win for all of us.
So the Bolts must have lost 16 in a row in the middle of the season.
I guess.
Like that.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes. Regardless, not looking great.
Well, those guys all probably need a little bit of rest and recovery. So before we move on, let's take a second to talk about some rest and recovery from Kane Footwear. Kane Footwear is changing the game by providing you with a unique shoe focused on recovery while being made from sustainable materials. The Kane Revive is made with bounce-back foam created from Brazilian sugarcane. A renewable resource, sugarcane helps reduce greenhouse gases by capturing CO2 as it grows. Kane's unique bounce-back foam provides the ideal balance of cushioning and support to help the body renew. Head to the link in our bio today to grab a pair of the most comfortable recovery shoes you will ever own. I will say, boys, it seems like a ton of NFL teams and players have been wearing them lately, which is just great to see. Super happy for Kane Footwear, and thank you again to them for sponsoring this episode.
The Canes go hard, unironically. Also, I usually think of them as like a summer shoe because I wear them to the beach so much, but there's a lot of good uses for them in the winter. Like you can wear them to the gym, or like I actually like wearing them to hockey a lot. I'll wear them to my beer league games.
Oh yeah.
Because I got old man knees, and when I get off the ice, my knees hurt, and they're real easy on the knees. So if you're one of them guys, you should go buy them, but you should definitely make sure to do it through our link so we get a little bit of money.
Exactly. Not that I'm not calling either of my parents old here, because when they listen to this, they're going to bitch me out, but they do wear them in the house all the time, and they absolutely love them.
Yeah, they're just good walking around shoes. All right, let's talk more about the Oilers. I'm ready.
Oof. Yeah, I know Max fired up for this one. He watched the whole game last night. I
said that like 6 times.
Big panic in Edmonton right now. They are off to their worst start to a season since 1993. They currently sit last place in the Pacific Division. No, that's the Sharks. Second to last in the Pacific Division. They are 2-8-1, a -18 goal differential. They've allowed 47 goals this season. Neither of their goalies has over a 900 save percentage.
Which, by the way, both Sharks goalies do.
There you go.
They have a combined 909.
Nice.
They only have 2 goals scored from their bottom 6 forwards so far, and Connor McDavid only 1 even strength goal and 4 even strength points through the first 9 games of the season. The worst start of his career since his rookie year. Mac, you're fired up. I'll let you take the floor.
Tee me off. Okay, here we go. So I talk about this regarding the Capitals with my dad a lot. About this season specifically. And that is the fact that the main thing you need to do as a mediocre at best hockey team, such as the Washington Capitals, is not get buried in the standings. That's like the main objective to start a season, is just like stay afloat, especially with the Caps. They're dealing with injuries and stuff. Stay afloat. Don't get buried until you get guys like Pacioretty, yada, yada, yada. We're not talking about the Caps, but that's the example I'm using.
Survive in advance.
Yes. Let's talk about the Oilers now. They are getting buried in the standings right now. Nick mentioned it a few minutes ago. When you lose 3 games to the Canucks, a division rival, who before the season you would have assumed wouldn't be one of the teams that you were going to need to compete with, that's like the worst fucking case scenario possible. Because you mentioned it, they're 14 points behind the Canucks now. That's like almost irreversible.
I don't know. Losing those games is essentially dropping 4 points.
Literally every time. It's so fucking bad. And I know people are like, it's early, but we said it earlier. It's not the MLB. Like there's 82 games and 10 of them are gone, or whatever it is, 11 now for them. Right. But like you lose 3 games to the Canucks, a team that you didn't think you needed to battle in this division. Now you're that, like, this is, it's so fucked that they, like, okay, this is another thing. There's another conversation I had with my dad. this is a team that we kind of all knew going into the season. They'd be maybe shopping for a goalie at like the trade deadline, looking for a guy. They probably thought they could get a guy like Hellebuck or like Gibson at the trade deadline going into this season. But instead, fucking Hellebuck just got signed a huge deal to start the season. They're like, oh shit, okay, well that's out. Hopefully our goalies can manage it. And now it's like, holy shit, we can't wait until the trade deadline to like deal with this. Like it's now.
They're not going to make it to the trade deadline.
That's what I'm saying. Like these are problems that they literally are going to have to fucking figure out like now. Like they can't, which I don't know. I mean, yeah, they put Campbell on waivers, which is hilarious because Skinner let in 6 goals last night.
Discount soup.
Literally. I don't know what, like, I think Skinner's worse than Campbell personally, but I don't know what the plan is. Nick, you sent me something that they have some guy in the AHL. Is that?
Yeah, they're going to be bringing up Latvian superstar Heima Balzic.
Not him.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Not Heima Balzic.
Yeah,
he's good too, but he's their fourth string.
He's going to need a couple 2-3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness.
No, that was the guy I was referencing was Heima Balzic.
Well, but I saw Witt. Witt.
There's another kid I know. I don't know his name, but I know he's probably
apparently he's got one of the best, maybe the best save percentage in the A. Now.
For Bakersfield, I think.
Mm-hmm. And so they think maybe why not fucking give him a shot? I mean, yeah, if I'm the Oilers, I'm
honestly
like,
at this point, like pull like a Devin Levi with the Sabres, throw him in there and see what you have.
Literally.
Because at this point, and I know I just mentioned the Sabres, but like I want to pose this question to you guys. Take the Oilers and put them in the East. Put them in the Metro, put them in the Atlantic. They're toast. Like they're not making the playoffs any way, shape, or form. If you do
they literally only still have a chance because of the division they play in. But even that being said, they're gonna have to stack some wins together. Like they're gonna have to go on a fucking streak, and to do that, they're gonna have to fix their fucking problems. And you can ask anyone. Maybe it's coach that needs to go. Maybe it's just a new goalie. Maybe it's a fucking GM meeting like we talked about with Heater. I don't know the answer. That's why I'm not a GM in the NHL or whatever, but I mean, as a third party, it's fucking hilarious to watch. I don't give a fuck.
Harry, what are your thoughts on the Oil?
I mean, I don't know. They're probably gonna end up canning. Their coach's name escaped me. Woodcroft. They're probably going to can him if they lose Thursday in the Super Bowl of the NHL season against the San Jose Sharks, as we mentioned in our Heater interview. One theory that I did see on Twitter, and our pal Terry kind of was getting some traction on this. I wouldn't be shocked if they shop for a goalie, but I don't, like you said, they can't get Hellebuck. The Ducks are kind of good right now, so Gibson's off the table. Those were probably the 2 biggest candidates.
And honestly, I thought Gibson was probably their most viable candidate going into this season because
that would only be an option, like again at the trade deadline if the Ducks are bad, but again they can't. You can't even think about that right now.
Right,
you need a fix now.
So the Wild do have what is widely to be considered the best goalie prospect in hockey in Jesper Waldstedt. It would cost an arm and a leg to get him, but if the Oilers are that desperate, which they might be, maybe they go for him.
But also, like, he's never played an NHL game, right? Like
he hasn't, but he's sick.
He's definitely like one of the supposed to be next big things for goalies. I think. Like
that's great, but is that a fix for next year or is it a fix for right now? You know what I mean? Like even any like highly touted goalie prospect usually takes a little bit of time to like get going in the NHL. Like it's not gonna. I have a hard time believing. Maybe I just don't know about this kid. I'm sure he's fucking good, but you know what I'm saying? Like you almost need to sign some veteran. Like
it's desperation.
I feel like they'd be better asking the Wild for like Fleury.
Exactly. Like that. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Like go
let
get
the
Flower.
Wild keep their kid and they can have Gustafsson and the kid and send Fleury over here because he at least like knows a little bit about NHL hockey. I don't know.
I think the bigger issue overall with this team though is obviously like we've talked about depth for the last 3 years. We've talked about goaltending for the last 5 years with this team. Who do you move? Like, what are your trade pieces? Because I genuinely don't see a way that they can move 1 to 2 to 3 guys to pull in the tendy that they need at this point. Because let's be real, you're not moving.
It's going to have to be picks.
You're not moving Draisaitl. I would be jaw on the ground if they moved Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah, no.
But I mean,
it would need to be like a first rounder and like
Bouchard. I mean, but still,
yes,
I
but
mean,
even he's
playing better than Nurse right now. So,
and you can't get rid of Nurse.
That's
and
not
no one is going to take Nurse's contract at what, 9.5.
The only two guys that I could see being somewhat valuable would be Hyman or Kane.
Right, and still, I mean, like. I can't imagine Evander Kane is going to get you that much money.
They're about to go out there with Connor Brown on a fishing pole. Like, look, he's really good.
What's
he
the State Farm commercial? You're going to have to be quicker than that.
Yeah, literally.
I don't know. It's panic in Edmonton. We'll see what happens. They've got a interesting schedule coming up. They've got the Sharks Thursday, and then they get the Kraken, Islanders, Kraken. So. Wow. Kraken don't look too good either, so that should be an interesting matchup.
I will say one last thing about the Super Bowl of hockey. They said it on the broadcast last night in the Canucks-Oilers game, which I watched the entirety of, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned that yet. But yeah, they said in the game that like a lot of people might see that, and a lot of casuals might see that and be like, oh, but they got the Sharks next game. That's almost worse than if they had like
big
an actual
trap game
next. Like it's an immense amount of pressure on an already like down on their luck team to be like, okay, well, we can't fuck this one up. Like no one wants to be the team that gives up the first win to the Sharks or whatever, or even the second win if the Flyers end up losing to them or whatever.
Where is that game?
I think it's in San Jose.
Yeah, it's in San Jose.
Wasn't Heater saying it's in Man Jose?
It's in Man Jose, yes.
Sharks dub, baby.
Yeah, let's see it. I'm here for the chaos, as I've said before. All right, let's move on. Fuck the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the other two teams that we definitely have to talk about, obviously Vegas and Boston are wagons. Vegas is 11-1-1 to start. They killed the Avalanche on Saturday night 7-0. Boston's
Deja vu, anyone? Deja vu again. Here we go again with these two.
And Boston, they started the season better this year than they did last year when they set all these records.
That's so fucking dumb, by the way. Like, that is so stupid.
They'll never be bad, as the Daily Over said last week, I think. He's like, they'll just never be a bad team. I was like, yeah,
it's
probably
ridiculous. Right. I don't even know what to say about it. They had two guys last night score their first NHL goal. And I'm like, this is what, like, this is who's on the team? What the fuck?
But the two teams that we will talk about a little further, the Canucks and the Ducks. Two teams that we shit on in the season previews, and they have come out of the gate swinging. Let's start with the Canucks. They're currently the third best team in hockey. They've beaten the Oilers 3 times already this season. They have the Norris Trophy frontrunner, the Hart Trophy frontrunner, and maybe even the Vezina Trophy frontrunner, and they look unstoppable.
The Canucks, I actually think we talked about with Heater. I actually think they could like just be a good hockey team. I don't know how we kind of fucked that one up. I mean, I probably would have said the same thing if I had to do it again, but they actually look good. Like
they do.
Like you just said, they have like best defenseman. Pettersson looks unreal. Demko looks unreal. Yeah, like they might actually be good. The Ducks, I'm not convinced. The Ducks, I think like that'll peter out at some point.
I think my favorite thing about Vancouver is it's sort of like the island of misfit toys right now. It's a bunch of guys that people didn't necessarily want. You've got like Anthony Beauvillier's there. You've got Ilya Mikheyev there, Pius Suter, and then you've got depth guys like Connor Garland that are just...
Garland is a madman out there.
He can play bottom six. He can play top six. He's the ultimate next man up kind of guy. Like, you know, wherever you need him to slot in, he's going to do it and contribute. So... And then the defense too. I don't think Roenick is getting a lot of credit for what he's done playing with Quinn Hughes this season. I know Quinn Hughes is having,
last night.
He's having an amazing year. And I know we were saying that when he left Detroit, like, oh, this guy's doomed, but I'm glad to see that it's working out for him and Van.
Yeah, he's like a good defenseman.
They look fantastic. I'm trying to pull this stat here. Yeah, their power play has mainly been the thing that's like absolutely lethal. Currently third in the NHL at 32%, which is nuts.
That's absurd.
They've been ripping it up. It's unreal.
Washington Capitals 2010 power play numbers.
And if you're listening to this and you like to dabble with the shot on goal army, I will tell you that the hottest bet on Twitter over the last, well, basically since the season started, Quinn Hughes over 2.5 shots has been clicking at an alarming
He
rate.
loves to shoot the puck.
Just
He
get one
loves to
power
shoot it.
play and that's a hit.
Yeah, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And then let's talk about the Ducks. I mean, I know Mac maybe not as bullish on the Ducks as he is with the Canucks, but their track record over this past week is pretty impressive. They beat the Stars in regulation, who were the first team to beat the Stars since the Knights since the third round of last year. Nobody's beaten the Knights in regulation in a round in 10 regular season games, which is nuts. And they beat the Bruins.
First fun stamp of the season. I think we've got to fun stamp the Ducks. That is a fun hockey team to watch. I mean,
you know what's the most fun part about it is that Trevor Zegras has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he's had a bad start.
Honestly though, boys, you know what it is? It's amazing what happens when you ditch these stupid Reese's peanut butter cup jerseys.
That's
and
exactly
now
what
watch this team.
That's gotta be what it is. Honestly, that might be what it is for the Canucks too. They've been wearing the black ones with the skate, and they look amazing, by the way. I might actually have to buy one of those jerseys now just because they're so sick. Thanks for that. But yeah, no, that plays a role. It definitely plays a role.
Look good, play good, right, boys?
Yes, sir.
And I butchered saying this just a moment ago, but now I have it in front of me. Yeah, so the Ducks were the first team to beat Vegas in regulation since the Dallas Stars did in Game 5 of last year's Round 3, which is pretty insane. Mason McTavish also, guys, coming out party. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention him. It's on like a 100-point pace right now.
He looks so impressive. I think, to make an analogy here, I think what Mason McTavish is doing right now is what Toronto thought they were going to get out of Tyler Bertuzzi. And for whatever reason, that just hasn't panned out to start the season. And I know the Toronto media is all over him and whatever. But Harry, another guy I think that started the season so well with them is Frankie Vetrano. I mean, this guy has kind of been passed around a little bit, moved from team to team, what have you, and just an unreal start to the season.
Yeah, kudos to the Ducks. I mean, they're putting it together. They play the Penguins tonight as we're recording this. They've won 6 straight games. I really need the Pens to beat them. That would be a nice little morale boost, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just a couple of little gambling things, and then we'll get you all out of here. This past Saturday, there were 114 goals scored, which is the most in a single calendar day in NHL history. Pretty nuts. It's a little fun fact for you.
Would have been sick to have like a frozen frenzy on that day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. LA Kings undefeated on the road. Keep that in your back pocket. We said this during the Heater interview, but Bedard, I think he has scored a goal in every game that he's worn the red uniform. And Austin Matthews just scores hat tricks when he scores. So if you think he's going to score, then just bet him score a hat trick because he's already got 3 this year. So that's pretty nuts.
Did pretty well with the Hattie too. Had a little something extra other than hats thrown on the ice, which is the only time that the Leafs are going to get 2 cups at once. So
okay, you went there, didn't you?
That was good. That was really good.
It was sitting there.
Nick Bowens is kicking and screaming. Mac, trivia, and we're out of here.
Word. All right. I've got a good one. I'm a little worried. I say this every week. I'm worried you're going to get it right away, and then you never do. But this one, I'm actually really worried you're going to get it right away. But I have a backup, so let's just get into it. Who am I? I scored 2 first-period goals on November 7th, 2007, to become the highest-scoring U.S.-born player in NHL history. I reached, 1,233 points to pass. Here's the bonus answer. Who did I pass in a 3-1 road win against the San Jose Sharks?
Nick, you got it.
Is this Mike Modano?
Yes, damn it.
Okay,
but who did he pass? This one is harder.
Ooh. Who did he pass?
Who was previously, as of November 6th, 2007.
Was this player on the Sharks in 2007?
No.
You're thinking Roenick,
okay.
aren't you?
I was thinking Roenick.
I don't think so.
Who was it?
Let me see when this guy stopped playing. Let's see if I can get a.
This one might be the bonus might be harder. I think we each get a guess, and then maybe Mac just read it off. We're running long here. This is tough because of our age. We always just think Madonna.
I think I have one.
All right, rip it.
Do you have one or no?
Not yet. I think I might, but go.
Brett Hall.
No.
Okay.
I know it's got to be an offensive guy, but in my head, I'm like, Leach has to be up there, but I don't know if he was the leader. Brian Leach up there?
It's not him. However, it is a defenseman. And this guy, I feel a little less bad about not being sure if he was still in the league at 07 because he did retire in 03, so that's not that bad.
Okay.
Nick, you got it?
Is it Chelly?
That's what I was going to say.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Just because of games played, a defense, American defenseman.
Yep.
That's not league. Everyone is like,
Yeah, they're like
idiots.
killing themselves right now.
You're American. How do you not know?
Right,
this?
exactly.
I'd say most. Do you want me to tell you? He's played for a fuckload of teams, low-key, but I could tell you the team he's probably most associated with, like when people hear his name.
Yeah, go for it.
I'd say most likely Buffalo. He played 8 seasons with them to start his career. And then he
started his career. Okay.
And then he went on a tear of playing with like a bunch of different teams for like 1, 2, or 3 years at a time and just kept bouncing around.
And hung him up in 03.
He hung him up in 03. He actually was on the Caps for 2 years.
Oh, Nick, you got to get this now.
Oh, come on.
He was on the Caps I didn't even think I knew this. He was on the Caps 96, 97, and 97, 98. How did I not know this?
Oh, good. I was 3.
I was
know.
Non-existent and then barely existent.
Okay.
So he was on that. He was on the Kolzig team that lost to the Wings.
Apparently, I didn't fucking know that. I'm still struggling to believe it as I'm looking at it.
Kelly Miller.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
In the Mac, I actually don't know, and I feel like we should just stop this podcast.
You said Sabres, and like I was like Brian Campbell, but like no.
Yeah, no.
This guy, holy shit! This guy played almost 1,500 games. You want me to just tell you?
Give me jersey number.
Oof.
I don't know if there's one.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
Okay.
It's Phil Housley.
Oh,
wow.
fuck me. We're going to get roasted for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in our defense,
Nick, did you know he was on the 98 Caps?
For like a hot minute, right? Like there's no way he was there for more than like 2 seasons, right?
Oh, no, he was on. That's what I said. He was on 96, 97 and then 97, 98. But he played like what? He played 141 games with the Caps.
Wow. I don't know why. It's just now that when you say Phil Housley, I'm thinking like blue and yellow jersey Sabres. When you said Sabres earlier, I was thinking black and red jersey Sabres. Yeah. So
he was with the Sabres literally from 1982 to fucking 90.
Yeah.
So
dude's like a just unreal point machine.
Honestly, in our defense, for whoever's kicking their wheel, yes, we should know that. I will admit, American guy, we should.
Right.
But Nick was 3 when he was on the Caps. I was 1, maybe not even.
And I actually think my memory has deteriorated since being 3 years old. So,
and Mac wasn't even conceived.
Yeah.
So,
I was actually, fun fact, I was born between the conference final and the Stanley Cup final of the Caps
in 98.
Yeah,
wow.
I was born literally right after we advanced to the Cup final.
Joey Juno.
And then we didn't win another game.
Exactly.
So,
bad
luck.
Damn.
Yeah. And then we had to play that team that had I don't know, 8 first ballot Hall of Famers within the next 10 years.
They're not even in the Eastern Conference anymore. It doesn't count. Give us that cup.
Well, everybody, we appreciate you listening. Hopefully the trivia didn't stir up too much frustration over there behind the steering wheel. Rage, yep.
I'll get a better one next week.
Appreciate you, Heatdaddy, for coming on. Appreciate everybody for listening. Without further ado.
Class dismissed.